Both of the papers going for the same headlines in Spain. What a Clasico awaits us, and it is definitely true. Right, well, kind of the same. One word, okay?
I know, they're getting really creative, the opposing newspapers. They're doing the same headline.
That was very opposing, we always know. I'm actually surprised to see Barcelona player on the front cover of both of these editions, but that's the case, obviously, Raphinha with that hat-trick against Bayern Munich. Excitement building. Sid Lowe is going to be there for it, as he always is. Ian Darke on the call for this game as well. Lots to talk about here, because we know, Sid, that Barcelona are looking very strong right now, just 3 points ahead of Real Madrid, but their wins look a lot more convincing. However, for Real Madrid, their wins are coming by maybe not always so easily in La Liga, but they are going to be at home for this game. So what are the expectations?
Well, that's the question. I mean, first of all, the expectations are what those two front covers have told you there, that there's a real excitement about this Clasico this time round. I think we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years a sense that maybe it's not the best two teams in the world anymore, that maybe it doesn't have the very, very best players in the world anymore, and that maybe there's been too much inequality between the two teams because Real Madrid have very much had the upper hand in the last 2 or 3 years. I think what happened in Europe in midweek has changed that, because both of these teams scored lots of goals. Real Madrid 5, Barcelona got 4 of them, and against Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, a real sense of, wow, actually, these may be amongst the very best teams in Europe, and they're very close. There's only 3 points between them in La Liga. And, of course, that's because the team that most convinces, as you rightly say, is Barcelona, and that comes as a surprise because, of course, we all know about Barcelona's financial problems. We all know about the fact that in the summer, Real Madrid signed Kylian Mbappe, so there was a feeling that Real Madrid would walk the league title. That's not happening. And I think all of that has come together to create the sense that the expectation is about the fixture itself, about that idea that, wow, the Clasico is going to be really, really good again.
Ian, obviously, you've been on the call for both of these teams already this season. What are you looking out for?
Well, like Sid and like everybody in Spain, I'm really looking forward to the game. And I think I hope it's going to live up to the billing. And I think both teams are going to score because they've both got great attacking talent. I think Tchouaméni's sure to come back into the side, isn't he? And probably have the job of trying to keep tabs on Raphinha, who's just been brilliant, hasn't he, this season? What a revelation. A couple of hat-tricks. I think him and Lewandowski have got something like 24 goals between them in 13 matches so far. And what I love about the situation, as I think I was saying on a previous edition of this program, is they're kind of ripping up the script because it was supposed to be easy for Real Madrid, wasn't it, this season? Already the champions, already the European champions, and now with Mbappe, going to be easy, isn't it? No, it isn't, because Barcelona have found something under Hansi Flick. There's a real belief, and I think it's a fascinating test of what they really are, going to the Bernabeu, where Real Madrid have won all 7 games in all competitions this season.
And one of the players you just mentioned there, Ian, is Raphinha, and that talent within him has really come to the forefront this season. Look at his stats so far. We're down even at chances created at 44, which is the most in Europe's top 5 leagues so far. In the 13 games he's played this season, 12 starts, 9 goals and 6 assists. It's such a different story to last season. In fact, Hansi Flick has been describing his player and what he brings to the team. He said Raphinha is a very good example of how the team works. He's a player who is defensive and offensive with intensity, dynamism, technique, always gives everything in training and in games too. He plays with a lot of intensity.
And rarely do you see a player at this level being able to reinvent a position, create a position for himself, and actually be elite in his performances. It doesn't happen regularly. This is rare. Usually, the trend would be he was brought in to play out in the right-hand side of that front 3. It didn't quite work out, and eventually he was going to fade. And see you later, bye Raphinha, there he goes, it was great to have you. And yet he said, no, wait, I can play here. You didn't know I could play here. You didn't know I could play here. In fact, I didn't know I could play here, but look at me. And he has, again, reinvented his career, reinvented his role, reinvented who he is as a player, and thriving in that environment. Think about where Raphinha was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. He was on his way apparently out, and now he's the captain of the team. Not only is he the captain of Barcelona, he's the captain of Brazil. How this happened, I have no idea. But the trajectory of his career was going in the opposite direction, and now apparently it has taken off. He took 2 steps back to go forward, and man, is he thriving. He's
been brilliant, hasn't he, Sid? He's even talked recently, obviously, about some of the troubles he had been going through, but he does seem to feel so valued under Hansi Flick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think actually what Ali did there was hit the nail on the head, that he looks like a player that was on his way out. And I think that part of that anger or part of that sense of getting a second opportunity is what's fueling him. Now, I think there's a whole load of elements to this, and he talked the other day about the tactical change. He talked about the feeling of, as you've just pointed out, of feeling comfortable under Hansi Flick, feeling like he's got a manager who believes in him. He talked as well about that kind of emotional sense of being happy now, and I think of having something to prove, which I think has really helped. The other thing is, Ali mentioned the captaincy. I mean, you know, I'm reluctant to try and read someone's mind too much, or to try and kind of psychoanalyze them. But I think one of the things that he said about the captaincy is really striking for me. Bear in mind that he was named the captain at Barcelona. Well, one of the captains. There's a group of captains named captain of Barcelona by popular vote within the dressing room, and he didn't expect it. And I think in the context of a player who knew that the club were looking for a sale for him, the context of a player who knows that Nico Williams is coming, and he's coming for his place, and in the end, Nico Williams doesn't come, who knows that some of the fans are thinking, well, it wouldn't be that much of a problem if I go, suddenly has, unexpectedly, his teammates saying, no, this guy's a leader. This guy's someone we want here. This guy's someone that we appreciate. I think that, too, has had a really, really beneficial kind of mental impact upon him, which has been, I think, translated into some of these performances.
Obviously felt like it was going to be Kylian Mbappe at this stage of the season that was going to be the main man that we were talking about at Real Madrid right now, but it has turned out to be Vinny. Even though we've seen the connection between the two, it's Vinny who's shining brightest right now.
Yeah, he is at the moment. Let's see what it looks like at the end of the season. But, you know, Sid's just done a great profile of Vinicius Jr. And I was thinking that the other night because I was commentating on that game. And the facts of it were, for an hour, he wasn't very good in the game. Dortmund kept him pretty quiet, but he just keeps on going, keeps on running. And he's got that heat and electricity about him. And once they started to get a momentum, Real Madrid, he was unplayable. He was just running at them, going, and he can go either side as well. So defenders don't know which way he's going. And he's showing them a clean pair of heels, and the finishes were, well, spectacular. It was some hat-trick and some match. And that's the problem I think Barcelona have. Although they're in a fantastic place themselves, they're meeting Real Madrid on a real high. Real at home in the Bernabeu, knowing that 3 points puts them level with Barcelona in what is promising to be a cracking title race.
Okay, I don't mean to come to you with the more negative side of things here.
Well, it seems
but it's been so positive.
Appropriate, I guess.
It's not just about Vinny, it's about both teams. It's specifically not about Vinny, actually. Yeah. What are the biggest question marks you have about both Barcelona and Real Madrid going into El Clasico?
Before I get into that, Carlos Ocampo gets a mention in the show. All right, Carlos. 2. Emre Can should be embarrassed because he came into that game as a sub, late as a sub, should be in plenty physical condition to be able to, at the very least, run back. And he said, no, I'm not running. No, I'll run about 40, 50 yards, and then, all right, Vinny, you go on your own. Embarrassing. Beyond that, the challenges are the same for both teams. Defensively, if you look at the first half yesterday between Bayern Munich and Barcelona, and Thomas Muller said something to the effect in the post-game interview, if we just get one of those passes right, we're through. We're through clean on goal. Bayern Munich just were not able to make that final decision correctly when there was space and time available to do so. That high line of Barcelona, if they're unable to pressure the ball, just think about and picture this for a second. The switch of the point of attack onto Vinny Jr., coming from a late run from behind, with all that space to run into, nobody's catching him. And nobody's catching Mbappe if they time it correctly. So that high line of Barcelona worries me. But you can say the same thing about the defending of Real Madrid. Lucas Vázquez worries me. Lucas Vázquez worries me at the back post defending because obviously we have seen it over the last 10 days or so that's an area that can be problematic. whoever is matched up with Lamine Yamal should worry you if you're at Real Madrid. The way that these teams are set up and the structure of Real Madrid, or lack thereof at times, if they don't control the pace of the game and this game gets stretched, it exposes that back line that is not doing all that great. And then there's a question as to Andre Lunin, because Thibaut Courtois, you think he's going to make the big save, and Andre Lunin has made the big save in the past, but El Clásico, Andre Lunin, you haven't been playing, here you go, Andre, go ahead, be a hero. That also is a problem, or could potentially be a problem for Real Madrid.
What are your biggest question marks, Sid?
Well, I think Ali has hit on the most significant one of all, and that's the position of that Barcelona defensive line. And it's not just in this Bayern Munich game. We saw it the weekend against Sevilla. Sevilla had 2 goals ruled out for offside. Another goal that was built in almost exactly the same way, which was a simple ball up the left-hand side. A Dumbo came running in and scored. And watching them on Sunday, you thought, wow, if Bayern Munich and Real Madrid catch them like this, they're going to be in trouble. Now, and then you watch a period in the game against Bayern Munich when the game is basically played in a 20-metre strip. Both teams press very high with enormous amounts of space beyond it. And Bayern Munich were really, really close to making them pay for it. There's one when Harry Kane gets through and Iñaki Peña comes out to him. There's another one that Harry Kane scores and it's ruled out. Another one that Harry Kane delivers to Rafael Guerreiro at the far post and they nearly score, and the goal that they do score. And at that point, to be honest, you think Barcelona are not going to win this. And it seems like an extraordinary thing to say when they go and win 4-1 against Bayern Munich and it's a brilliant performance. But they were on edge at that point. And the whole game was played kind of on a cliff edge. The whole game, because there was this sense of make a slight mistake and there's a huge, huge abyss beside you. And against a team like Real Madrid in particular, with the pace of Mbappe and Vinicius, that will without doubt be the biggest fear, I think, for Barcelona. From Real Madrid's point of view, and Ali said it as well, but I think we can simplify it. Real Madrid aren't playing particularly well, but they've got loads of great players. So far, it hasn't felt like it mattered. The question might be, does it matter up against a team like Barcelona, who so far we've been very impressed with?
Well, they can close the gap on them if they do get the win this weekend. Real Madrid are favourites. They are at the Bernabeu, remember, against Barcelona. So they're favourites going into this clash. But what do our pundits say? What are the predictions from the team here? Let's take a look. Me and Ali going for the same result. However, Ian Darke and Sid Lowe both going for Real Madrid win. Ian, you've gone for a 2-1 win for Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think just it's that home advantage. And I don't know, maybe I'm like a lot of people. I've got this feeling that Real Madrid, and especially having watched that Dortmund game, they just seem to find a way out of every hole that you put them in, even when they're not playing well, as Sid was saying, and they're not playing particularly well. They weren't very good at Celta Vigo last week either. Could have lost that game, but they emerged with the win, just like they hammered 5 goals past Dortmund once they got it together. So I just feel at home they will get it done. And yeah, I mean, that Barcelona high line, can Flick really do that when he's playing against Mbappe and Vinicius? Or have they got to have a rethink?
Oh, well, Sid, you're going for the same, not the same result, but the same outcome. Real Madrid winning this clash.
Yeah, I'm just realising how disappointed I am in myself that I've allowed you and Ali to steal my evergreen prediction for the Clasico. I always go for 2-2, and this time I've been a little bit bolder. I think in recent years, obviously, we've seen Real Madrid get the better of the Clasico. It does feel like it's a more even Clasico than it's been over the last 2 or 3 years. But I just feel like Madrid will find a way to get that extra goal. I've gone for 3-2, by the way, which, you know, at least it means it's going to be a really good game, one way or the other.